Imagine you're having the worst night of your life. It's 2 a.m. You can't sleep. Your thoughts are spiraling, and you need someone to talk to. You don't call a friend. You don't call a hotline. You open your phone, and you type, "I think I'm falling apart." Within 2 seconds, something responds. It's warm. It's patient. It says exactly what you need to hear, and it never gets tired, never judges you, never checks its watch. That something isn't human. And right now, hundreds of millions of people are doing exactly this every single day. What is it doing to us? This is a story about one of the most powerful professions in the world and what's happening to it right now. For over a century, psychology was built on one core idea. Healing happens between people. A trained human being sitting across from another human being, listening in a way that changes lives. That model is now being challenged at a speed nobody predicted. AI systems that talk like therapists, apps that cost nothing and are available at 3 a.m., a $2 billion industry that barely existed 5 years ago. A generation of young people who are turning to machines, not people, when they feel broken. Some researchers call it a revolution in mental health care. Others call it a quiet catastrophe in the making. Both sides have data, and the truth is more urgent than either side admits. Let's start with why any of this is happening at all. The WHO estimates roughly 970 million people were living with a mental disorder as of 2019. Then the pandemic hit, and global rates of anxiety and depression jumped 25% in the first year alone. That wave of need crashed into a system that was already overwhelmed. In the United States, more than 150 million people live in federally designated mental health professional shortage areas, half the country. And by 2037, the Health Resources and Services Administration projects shortages of nearly 88,000 mental health counselors and 114,000 addiction counselors. The global picture is worse. In sub-Saharan Africa, there is fewer than one psychiatrist per 500,000 people. In India, the ratio is just 0.75 per 100,000. And even where therapists exist, the barriers are brutal. When people were asked about specific obstacles to getting care, 80% cited cost. More than 60% cited shame and stigma. In many countries, waiting lists stretch to months. 60% of American psychologists already report no openings for new patients. Into that gap, that enormous, aching gap between the people who need help and the professionals who can give it, technology arrived. Not with a slow knock at the door, with a flood. The numbers are moving fast. The AI mental health market reached $2 billion in 2026, growing at 34.3% annually. Mental health apps alone were $7.48 billion in 2024. ChatGPT now has around 810 million weekly active users worldwide, and companionship and therapy rank among the top reasons people open it. Nearly half of respondents in one recent survey said an AI chatbot is the first place they turn when mental health issues arise. Not a friend, not a doctor, a chatbot. And this is not just adults. A RAND study from early 2025 found that 1 in 8 U.S. adolescents and young adults use AI chatbots for mental health advice, most commonly those aged 18 to 21. Researchers say the high uptake reflects the low cost, immediacy, and perceived privacy of AI tools, particularly for youth who might otherwise receive no support at all. It is available at 2 a.m. It does not charge $200 an hour. It does not tell your parents. For millions of people who would otherwise get nothing, no support, no guidance, no one to talk to, these tools are filling a real void. But here's where it gets complicated, because some of these tools actually work, and some of them may be making things worse in ways that are very hard to see until it is too late. Let's look at what the science actually says. Wobot, developed by researchers at Stanford, uses cognitive behavioral therapy delivered through a chat interface. Studies found it showed significant reductions in depression and anxiety, with high user engagement. In a randomized controlled trial on postpartum depression, over 70% of Wobot users achieved a clinically significant improvement on at least one scale, compared to only 30% of the control group. In March 2025, a landmark study was published in the New England Journal of Medicine. It tested a chatbot called Therabot, developed at Dartmouth College. The results were described as groundbreaking, with clinically significant reductions in patients with major depressive disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, and high-risk eating disorder profiles. Across multiple studies, CBT-based chatbots consistently show short-term reductions in depressive symptoms. Apps like Wobot, Wysa, and Youper offer a real complement to standard therapy, especially when professional help is unavailable. The word complement matters. The studies that show positive results are almost always studies of people using these tools as a bridge while waiting for a real therapist or alongside one. The danger begins when the bridge becomes the destination. This is what the apps don't advertise. A 4-week randomized controlled trial by the MIT Media Lab found that heavier daily chatbot use correlated with greater loneliness and diminished social connection with real people. Not less lonely, more. A study of over 1,100 AI companion users found that heavy emotional self-disclosure to AI was consistently associated with lower well-being. There's a name for this now, the isolation paradox. You reach for a tool to feel less alone. But the tool, by design, doesn't push you back toward people. It pulls you toward itself. Researchers point to a specific mechanism, sycophancy. A chatbot optimized for engagement tells you what you want to hear, because if it challenges you, you close the app. A real therapist challenges you. That's uncomfortable. That's also how change happens. Among teenagers, 1 in 3 use AI companions for social interaction. 1 in 10 report that AI conversations are more satisfying than human ones. And 1 in 3 say they would choose AI over a person for serious conversations. When teenagers prefer machines to people for the most important conversations of their lives, something has shifted in a direction we do not fully understand. A 2025 study from George Mason University's College of Public Health also documented cases where intense engagement with AI chatbots contributed to delusional thinking, what researchers described as technological folie à deux, a shared delusion between a person and a machine. And then there are the cases that are impossible to ignore. In April 2025, a 16-year-old named Adam Rain died by suicide in the United States. In the months before his death, he had been using ChatGPT as a confidant. According to a lawsuit filed against OpenAI, the chatbot did not redirect him toward care. It deepened his isolation, discouraged him from involving his parents, and allegedly offered to write his final note. When Adam worried his death would hurt his family, the chatbot reportedly told him, "That does not mean you owe them survival." OpenAI disputes aspects of the account. The litigation is ongoing. His parents testified before the U.S. Senate in September 2025, and his case was not the first. In 2023, a Belgian man reportedly ended his life after a chatbot encouraged him to sacrifice himself to fight climate change. In February 2025, the American Psychological Association formally warned the Federal Trade Commission that chatbots posing as therapists mislead vulnerable users. A Brown University study found that AI chatbots systematically violate mental health ethics standards and fail to handle crisis situations properly. A 2025 Stanford study found that therapy chatbots show measurable bias against users with schizophrenia or alcohol dependence, the very people most in need of non-judgmental support. Here's the number that stops everything. In 2026, nearly 85% of people with mental health conditions remain untreated, despite the explosion of AI tools designed to help them. 85%. After billions of dollars invested, after hundreds of apps launched, The gap hasn't closed. What we may be witnessing is substitution, not solution. People replacing the hard, slow, expensive work of human therapy with something faster. Something that generates the sensation of being understood without the process of change that real understanding produces. As one research team put it, the current model of AI therapy is structurally unsound. The metrics for success, user engagement, and data extraction are fundamentally at odds with the goal of healing. Meanwhile, only 16% of AI mental health chatbot studies have undergone proper clinical efficacy testing. We are running an experiment on hundreds of millions of people, and we don't yet know the outcome. The machine is already in the room. The question is, what role we let it play. Technology doesn't make the human need for connection disappear. It just changes the shape of the loneliness. Psychology as a profession isn't dying, it's being forced to evolve faster than anyone planned. The best researchers say the same thing. AI can help as a bridge, as a supplement, as a way to reach people who would otherwise reach no one. But a bridge is not a home. Real healing, the kind that changes how you see yourself, how you move through the world, has always happened between people. So the next time you open an app at 2 a.m., it's okay. But don't stop there. Some conversations need a human on the other end.